This is a video that when I started this channel I didn't think I was going to make, but for a while now it's a video I've wanted to make, and I feel that now is the time I can actually make this video where I feel comfortable and stable enough to sort of get what I want to say in this video out there, have it all down in a public space so everybody can sort of understand where I'm coming from with it. It's not the video I said my next piece of work is going to be. It's not my video for my patrons, and it's clearly not a Fallen London video. So I apologise if I'm being a bit selfish by releasing this video rather than the other content I've promised you all, and I hope you can forgive me for that. But this video is important to me, and I feel like it's going to provide an explanation that I've owed all of you for quite a while now. So, those of you who've been following me, watching my content, interacting with me for a while now will know that there have been times where I've taken long breaks where I haven't uploaded anything. I had one towards the start when I was just doing this as a complete hobby, when I didn't even have a tenth of the audience that I have now. And then I took one towards the start of this year for a few months, but the one I want to talk about, the one that this sort of video is about, is the close to seven month absence I took between my video on the second Fallen London election and my video on the Carnate. Also, this video is completely unscripted, and I'm probably not going to edit it much, so I apologise if I sound a lot less professional than usual, implying that my videos are professional, eh? But yes, anyway, so that absence, I've tried to hint at what caused it in my videos somewhat. As the archivist, I've tried to hint at it in character, but I think now's the time I need to sort of strip back the character a bit and talk to you all as me, as Matthew, and, you know, explain really what happened a year ago. So, basically, exactly a year ago to the day of me recording this, on the 17th of July, I was having the worst time in my life. July last year was when the undiagnosed depression I'd been dealing with for about half a decade finally really, came over and hit me over the head really hard. Because I'd just finished my first year of university, and university was a lot more isolating than I expected it to be. I didn't think I would feel quite as lonely as I did at university, as I have done. So, after my first year, I was looking for a place to live, and because I didn't make that many friends in first year, I ended up just moving into an apartment that had a room to rent. Ended up living with 10 other people, and this is nothing against the friends I have now who I know listen to these, but the people I ended up living with turned out to be some of the best friends I've ever had, but just after I'd moved in, I didn't know that. I didn't know these people, they didn't know me, and I was and I still am depressed, and I didn't know how to talk to them, because, as I say, I'd just met them. And on the night of the 17th last year, I was in such a bad place, I was in such a low place, that I was ready to take my own life. And basically, I decided I'm going to leave the apartment, and I'm either going to get help or I'm going to die, essentially. So, without telling any of the people I live with and taking a phone that had about 20% battery, I threw on a jacket and I left. And I walked through the city I was living in at the time, and the city I'm still living in, to the nearest hospital. And when I walked in, the porters asked me if I was okay, and I said, no, I'm not. I said basically I'm feeling suicidal, and on the walk down here I nearly threw myself under a bus, and I had nearly done that, and The porters basically took me into their little office and they explained to me that I was in the wrong hospital because the hospital I'd walked to didn't have an accident and emergency unit. It didn't have an emergency room. So, they basically said, but obviously we're not just going to send you back out there. Just stay here and we'll find a nurse or something. So I sat in the porter's room, and then they found a nurse for me who was just finishing her shift. And she came and sat down opposite me, and she listened to me. And I essentially broke down in tears in front of her and said that I didn't want to live anymore, and said that I really needed help, and that I'd been struggling with this for so long, and I just couldn't anymore. I couldn't cope. So this nurse, this saint of a woman, who had finished her workday, who had no reason to help me other than it was the right thing to do, basically got in a taxi with me and took me to the other hospital and signed me into the waiting room, made sure I had next of kin, made sure the hospital knew who to contact if anything went wrong, and then she went home, and I never learnt her name, and that's probably the biggest regret of my life, never learning that woman's name, because that nurse saved my life that night. She and everybody else in that hospital, in both hospitals I ended up in, saved my life that night, and I don't know any of their names. And I think that's going to eat at me for a long time. So, eventually I was sat in the waiting room for a while, and then the nurses called me through. I got sat down, they took my blood pressure, and they were a bit concerned that it was quite low. And then I explained I hadn't eaten anything that day, and they were concerned about that, but at least they knew why my blood pressure was low. So they got me some food, and I just waited and waited, and eventually a doctor came and sat down with me, and because he'd been told everything by the nurses. And the doctor basically just took me into a room, sat down with me, closed the door, and said, "Matthew, you're depressed. You are suicidally depressed, and I can't let you leave. I can't let you leave this hospital tonight, because if you do, you're going to hurt yourself." And it was the first time anybody had actually told me I was depressed. It was the moment I was diagnosed. I'd known something was wrong for years, but I'd never been diagnosed with it, and I always thought that I was just, a moody kid. I'd been feeling depressed for a long time, but I was in denial about it. I didn't want to admit that there was something wrong. But this doctor, he basically explained to me that it's nothing to be ashamed of, and that, there's still a lot of stigma around mental health, and mental health treatment isn't perfect, but in coming here to this hospital and getting help, I'd done the best thing I could have possibly done for myself. And he was right. And the next day, I met the mental health team at the hospital. I stayed overnight. Then I went back to my apartment. I explained to my friends what happened. They soon became so supportive of me and everything that I was going through. But for a while, I just didn't feel well enough to make content, and that's why I disappeared for 6 months, because I needed to recover. And I don't think I'm better. I don't think I'm healthy, or at least as healthy as I should be. And I don't think I'm going to be for a long time. But I'm far better off than where I was this time last year. I've got friends who care about me. My family know what I'm going through. And pretty much every day I get either messages or phone calls from someone in my family making sure I'm alright, making sure I'm taking my medication, making sure I'm looking after myself. Just things like that. I really appreciate it, and I don't mean to sound like a cliche, but I really do appreciate all of you, because I do have a relatively small audience. I'm not going to say I have any delusions of grandeur. I don't think I'm some vastly important YouTuber, but I think the fact that I have a small audience, it can help, because it means I can have more of a personal relationship with the people who watch my videos, because I do read every comment I get, and I try to respond to most of them, or any message I get on YouTube or on Twitter or on Discord or anywhere. And it really does mean a lot to know that my videos make people happy. My videos, I'm not going to claim my videos have helped anybody's with their own mental health troubles, because I don't know, but people tell me they like my videos and my videos make them happy, and that means the world to me. And the fact that the wonderful people at Fail Better Games have shown my videos so much support. I know they do it to a lot of fan works because they're just a great company like that, but it really means a lot to know that, like, my silly little lore videos that I started in my last year of sixth form because, I was bored and felt Fallen London was a fascinating enough universe that it needed this kind of video. They gave their support to it, that they've told me they like my videos and everything, and they've given me permission to use their stuff in my videos. It really does mean a lot, and as I say, it means so much that people watch my videos, enjoy my videos, and that some people have been so kind and generous to support me financially. And I don't want to claim I'm some expert on mental health issues, I don't. And this isn't to disparage any women in my audience who have these issues and are going through them, but as somebody who is from the UK, where the leading cause of death for men under the age of 45 is suicide, I just feel like I need to say, if you're a young guy and you're going through what I was going through, people will listen to you. People do want to help. People do want to help you get better, help you overcome whatever you're going through. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some phone numbers in the description in place of the usual links that I have in the descriptions of my video. I'm going to put the links to Samaritans for the UK and numbers for equivalent organisations in the States and Canada and Australia. And if anybody else out there wants me to put numbers that sort of respond to their country and that I don't know yet, please feel free to put them in the comments. So yeah, basically, I'm sorry to have kept you all with this rambling video, but basically, it's a year on since the worst time in my life, and I'm not better, and I won't be for a while, but I've come so far from where I was, and I think I'm allowed to be proud of myself for that. And genuinely, if there's anybody out there in my audience who is going through what I went through, please talk to somebody. Your friends, your family, a stranger on the end of a hotline, a doctor, a teacher, a professor at university, anybody. There'll be somebody who can help, because what I was going to do last year, the way out as I saw it, it wouldn't have solved my problems, and it would have devastated everybody I care about, everybody I love. It would have hurt so many people, and at the end of the day, I want to live. I want to have a long and happy and fulfilling life, and for that I need to be here for that. And for you to have the same, you need to be here. So please, don't think you need to give up. I'm probably going to end this video now because I'm feeling myself get a lot more emotional than I thought I was going to, and once again I apologise for subjecting you all to this. Hopefully my next video will be something far more enjoyable to sit and listen to. Once again, thank you so much for being there for me, for enjoying my content, and here's to another year.